Then we headed up to La Crosse, Wisconsin. Just an incredible fishery. It was an absolute blast. You know, it's a shallow water fisherman's dream. It's probably like the Delta is, you know, more in the summertime and all that, but frog fishing, swimming a jig, flipping, I mean, it was a blast. And got up there and caught a lot of fish. Like I said, swimming a jig, caught some on a frog, and even caught some flipping my little tight lines UV beaver, and got out there with a 22nd place finish. Stayed on top for that angle of the year. Then we went to Green Bay, Wisconsin, which was our mystery tournament. We didn't, you know, it was a mystery deal, and I wasn't overly excited about Green Bay, Wisconsin, because it's so intimidating, big water, could be rough, all that, and it's smallmouth. And you know, it was really turned out to be a kind of a blessing in disguise to me there. I kind of gambled, didn't make the long run out into the big water. I stayed in the river right there, and you know, finished 27th there, you know, which isn't a great performance, but by doing the math, I felt like, you know, 2 top 20s or something, I could still win this deal, and got out there with a 27th place finish. Found him in there on a squarebill, fishing a little squarebill, catching smallmouth in the river out of muddy water. It was really kind of a strange deal. And then the first day of the tournament, got a bait by this Maysu bait company called a wobblehead. Some people seem like the biffle bugs and all that. Well, Tommy Biffle pulls up right beside me and starts catching him on his biffle bug, and I'm catching him cranking. And he wouldn't give me any, so I pulled out these little wobbleheads I had and put our little tight line UV beaver on it and proceeded to catch them really well like that. So between the wobblehead with the little beaver on it and that square bill, fishing in the river, you know, kind of going against the grain, I, you know, had a really good finish there and got out of there with a 27th place finish. Well, now the pressure's on. I've survived. Uh-oh, there's my warning there, so I got a couple minutes here. But got out of there with a decent finish, but now instead of going right into the next event, the final event, and getting the season over with, we had a 6-week off period. Had to go to ICAST and, you know, constantly getting bombarded by, you know, people in the media. Do you think you can hold on to it? Do you think you're going to stub your toe or whatever? You know, it's like, so I had 6 weeks to think about this, but normally I don't go pre-practice on a body of water I've been to before, but I know with the performance I had up there last time we were there, it was kind of, you know, marginal, and I really felt lost the whole time I was there. So I said, I'm going to go up before our 30-day off limits. Went up there, spent 4 or 5 days, and that was really a good deal for me. Got up there, you know, didn't have a lot of pressure, but really got on a couple good patterns and ended up really saving me, because when we came back, you know, 6 weeks later, I had the worst 3 days practice of my whole season. I think I went out the first day and had, I don't know, 6 or 8 bites, which for Lake Oneida is not very good. But, you know, at least I had a few bites. The next day I go out and I only have like 4 or 5 bites. You know, you're supposed to get better every day, not worse. The third day of practice, the last day of practice, my wife is picking me up at the ramp at 2 o'clock. And at 2:05, I'm still sitting out there fishing around looking, going, I need to go in, I got a meeting. I still haven't had a bite. At 2:05, I finally get one good bite on my Zara spook, and that was it. So here I'm going into the most, you know, the toughest, you know, probably the most incredible tournament of my life, and I had the worst practice I've ever had. So I really had to do a lot of digging down deep, soul searching, praying, and just really saying, you know, look, I had a good practice a couple weeks, you know, a month ago or whatever, and went out and just really stuck with what I'd found, and really, you know, went and committed to these areas where I'd found them. And you know, it was amazing. The first day of the tournament, I go out and I'm catching them on a super spook. You know, on a super spook on smallmouth, you don't get a lot of bites, but when you do, they're good ones. And I go out that first day and I catch, I think, 16 and a half pounds. My whole goal at that tournament was 14 pounds a day. If I could catch 14 a day, every time we've ever been there, you could make the top 10 or top 12. And I had a 13-point lead over Ott Defoe, so I knew if I made the top 12, no one could beat me. So that was my goal, was 14 a day. And I go out and I catch almost 17 pounds that day. I'm in second place. I mean, you know, to go from the practice I had to that, it was just incredible. And you know, to go out and, you know, get the kind of bites I had that day on a super spook and catch them all was just incredible. The next day we go out, I can't catch them on the super spook, but I catch them on a big pop-R, and I think I caught like 13 or 14 pounds a day that day, which, you know, kept my average well above 14. So then the pressure was really on for that Saturday. I knew, you know, that I'd made it to Saturday, but, you know, I still needed to catch like 11 or 12 pounds that third day to make it into Sunday. So, I mean, that truly was probably the most pressure I've ever felt. Like you know, that Angler of the Year trophy, it weighs like 50 pounds, and for 6 weeks I felt like that trophy was on my back, and it was so amazing when I put the 5th fish in the boat that morning about 10 o'clock on that Saturday. Which, if you guys get Bassmasters magazine, you see the cover of it. I'm on there and you'll see the smallmouth jumping. I've got it on a jerkbait. It was like my 5th keeper that day. Only fish I caught on a jerkbait. But I truly believe that picture was my 5th and final fish that I needed to win that Angler of the Year. And when I put that fish in the boat, I felt like that trophy, that weight of that had been off my shoulders. And went in that night, and you know, they made me weigh in last, and you know, people are congratulating me. I'm like, well, I haven't got it yet. You know, I didn't know. So, but once they finally put it up there, I had 12 pounds or 13 pounds, made it into Sunday. It was truly an incredible feeling, and you know, the hard work of 17 years of doing this had really panned out. But you know, I'd kind of mentioned, you know, just all the different baits I'd used that year and the versatility. So, you know, if you're wanting to become a better angler, you definitely want to become as versatile as you can. And the way you do that is, don't take your favorite techniques out there. If you have a technique that you want to become better at, take only those in the boat with you, but make sure you go somewhere that you know you can catch a lot of fish. I always tell people, have a good practice field. Have a place you can go catching, not a place you have to go searching for fish. You want to go to a small body of water. I know you guys have a lot of that great stuff out here, and that's why you guys are so good with swim baits and stuff. But you know, have you a good practice field, and take those techniques that you struggle with, that you want to become better with, and make yourself learn them. Take all the stuff you have confidence in and leave it at home.